Bidemi sent her mother a heavy slap. You know those types that come with echoes mixed with waves. They make you begin to see twinkle stars in a hot afternoon. Exactly. That was the type. The sound echoed through the house like thunder, leaving her mother frozen with her hand on her cheek, unable to believe what had just happened. This story is about a young lady named Bidemi who disrespected her mother and learned her lesson the hard way. Before we continue, please like and subscribe. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Bidemi is the only child, and Mrs. Fatai, her mother, is a single mother. She became one on a raining evening when her husband, Mr. Fatai, packed his belongings and left their home without looking back. Before that day, he had been jobless for months, angry at life, and bitter about his failure. The stress turned him into a mini monster who reacted to every little misunderstanding, and sometimes it resulted in violence. One night, after a heated argument over unpaid bills, Mr. Fatai pounced on his wife, beating her mercilessly. You know that kind of beating that leaves you looking like someone that survived a trailer accident. Bam! That was exactly the type Mr. Fatai gave his wife. And that was the night Mrs. Fatai decided she would not allow her daughter, Bidemi, to grow up watching her mother suffer. She reported him to the police. He was arrested for domestic violence, but was later released. The day he returned, it was raining. He just went into the house, picked his belongings, and left in shame, never to return. From that day, Mrs. Fatai carried the full weight of parenting alone, working hard day and night to provide for Bidemi. She promised herself that her daughter would never feel the pain of growing up without a father. She told herself she would be both mother and father, protector and provider, comfort and strength. She started a small trading business that grew quickly, and within a few years, she became wealthy. She began to live an expensive life. But as her business grew, she spent little time with her daughter. Whenever Bidemi did something wrong, instead of correcting her, she covered her mistakes. Instead of discipline, she gave gifts. Instead of guidance, she gave freedom. And slowly, without noticing, she raised not just a daughter, but a queen who believed the world owed her everything. Bidemi grew up knowing only comfort and control. From the time she could speak, her mother never denied her anything. If she cried, toys were bought. If she refused to go to school, private teachers were hired. If she fought with other children, their parents were paid to keep quiet. She believed that love meant protecting her child from pain, shame, and punishment. But unknowingly, she was protecting her from responsibilities, humility, and respect. That girl learned quickly that no matter what she did, her mother would clean up after her. By the time she turned 18, she was beautiful, wealthy, and powerful, but also proud, rude, and careless. She spoke to her mother anyhow, interrupted her, and treated house workers like death. When Mrs. Fatai tried to correct her, Bidemi would roll her eyes, wave her off, and conclude with, "This is my life." Mrs. Fatai would sigh, feel guilty, and walk away. In her heart, she feared that if she became strict, her daughter might hate her. She forgot that true love sometimes means saying no, even when it hurts. One afternoon, Bidemi returned home in anger. Her car had been crashed in a parking lot, and she stormed into the house shouting. She accused the security guard of allowing careless drivers near her car and demanded that he be fired immediately. Her mother tried to calm her down and told her that accidents happen. But no, she refused to listen. She threw her handbag on the floor and screamed, "What is the use of having money if people still disrespect me?" Her mother felt embarrassed, but quickly apologized to her instead of correcting her behavior. The same week, she was suspended from school for fighting another student during an argument. The school sent a letter, but trust what Odogu Mrs. Fatai can do. She rushed there immediately. Instead of listening to the school authorities, she used her influence and money to silence the matter. Bidemi returned home smiling, confident that once again her actions had no consequences. That night, Mrs. Fatai felt uneasy, but she brushed the feeling away, telling herself she is young, she will change. She did not know that her silence was feeding a dangerous fire. As Bidemi grew older, her pride grew stronger. She no longer saw her mother as an authority, but as a servant to her comfort. She gave orders instead of requests, insults instead of respect. One morning, when her mother reminded her of how her recklessness almost cost them a lot, Bidemi snapped and said, "You talk too much. This is my life. Stop controlling me." Her mother felt pain in her heart, but said nothing. She simply walked away and cried in her room, reminding herself of how hard she had worked to raise her alone. Bidemi began to mix with bad friends who admired her wealth and encouraged her pride. They taught her that power means control. She started coming home late, spending recklessly, and disrespecting elders. Each time her mother tried to advise her, she would roll her eyes or walk away. Still, Mrs. Fatai covered up her mistakes, paid off damages, and made excuses for her. She believed she was protecting her, but in truth, she was destroying her. One evening, Bidemi returned home drunk after a party. Her clothes were torn, and her eyes were red. Her mother rushed to her and asked, "My daughter, what happened to you?" Instead of answering, she pushed her mother away and shouted, "Leave me alone." Mrs. Fatai tried to hold her to prevent her from falling, but Bidemi sent her mother a heavy slap. You know those type that comes with echoes, mixed with waves. They make you begin to see twinkle stars in a hot afternoon. Exactly. That was the type. The sound echoed through the house like thunder, leaving her mother frozen with her hand on her cheek, unable to believe what had just happened. The maids standing nearby all froze in shock. For a moment, the house became silent. Bidemi stared at her mother, breathing heavily, but she did not apologize. Instead, she walked past and locked herself in her room. Her mother sank to the floor and cried uncontrollably. The pain was not just from the slap, but from the truth it revealed. She realized that she had raised a child who no longer respected her sacrifices, or her love. That night, she did not sleep. She kept asking herself, where did I go wrong? The next morning, she tried to speak to her daughter, but she ignored her and left the house without a word. Mrs. Fatah felt something break inside her. She remembered the night her husband left, the years of struggle, the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, and the prayers. She realized that in trying to fill the space left by her husband, she had removed discipline, boundaries, and correction. She had loved without limits, but love without limits had created a monster. That day, she decided that enough is enough. She made up her mind to take a drastic step. Though painful, she felt it was the best before her daughter's life got completely ruined. She stopped paying her bills and cut her off completely. She wrote her daughter a long letter explaining her pain, her mistakes, and her decision to step back, explaining that love is not just giving, but also correcting. She made it clear that if she continued like this, she would lose her child completely. I would rather lose your comfort than lose your soul. Then she waited, unsure of what would happen next. Bidemi's life soon began to fall apart. Her friends abandoned her when the flow of money stopped. Her car was taken away, her living allowance stopped, and her debts increased. For the first time in life, she faced consequences. When she insulted people, no one apologized on her behalf. When she got into trouble, no one rescued her. She felt lost, angry, and confused. She blamed her mother for her suffering, not realizing that her mother was trying to save her. One night, she was arrested after getting into a fight at a bar. This time, her mother did not go to the police station. Bidemi spent the night in a cell, cold, scared, and ashamed. As she sat there alone, memories of her childhood flashed in her mind. Her mother's tired face, her sacrifices, her tears, and her love. For the first time, she truly felt regret, but pride still struggled in her heart. After her release, she went home not to apologize, but to demand money. Her mother refused, and it resulted in a heated argument. Bidemi screamed, insulted her, and blamed her for everything. But her mother remained firm. She said, "I failed you by spoiling you, but I will not fail you by continuing." Bidemi got angry, picked her things, and left the house. Mrs. Fatai locked the door angrily and gave instructions to the maids never to open it for her daughter. She went into her room, locked the door, and cried. When she was done crying, she prayed, committing her daughter into God's hands, and concluded it was for the best. She needed to go out to taste how tough the world is, hoping it would bring back sanity to her. Days turned into weeks, and life was harder than she had thought. All her friends abandoned her, except for one who accommodated her. She struggled to get a steady job because of her attitude. Gradually, she began to see that the problem was not the world, it was her. One night, alone in a small room, she cried deeply for the first time. She finally understood that actions have consequences, and pride leads to destruction. With no one to rely on, she decided to change. She started with a small job at a local store, where she learned to respect others, take instructions, and earn money honestly. It was not easy. Many times she wanted to quit, but each time she remembered her mother's tears and the slap that changed everything. Slowly she improved and replaced pride and entitlement with gratitude. She now understood the pain her mother had endured. One evening, after months of struggle, she returned home. She knelt at the door because the maid had denied her entrance and cried, "Mom, please, I am sorry. I crossed a boundary no child should ever cross when I slapped you. I disrespected you. I broke your heart. Please forgive me. I'm still your little girl. Please don't cast me away. Even if I deserve it, have mercy on me. I have learned my lesson, and I promise never to cause you pain or tears." Mrs. Fatai, who had been listening behind the door, opened it, raised her daughter from her knees, and hugged her tightly with tears flowing down her face. For the first time in years, mother and daughter truly saw each other. She forgave Bidemi, but this time there was boundaries, discipline, and rules around the house. Love remained, but now it was guided by wisdom. Bidemi returned to school, and the house that once echoed with pride, insult, and orders now echoed with laughter and peace. This story teaches us that love without discipline is dangerous, and covering a child's evil act only leads to greater destruction. Remember that actions always have consequences, whether good or bad. Being a single parent does not mean removing boundaries or being weak, because true love corrects, not just comforts. Lastly, we should always remember that charity begins at home. The home is the first school a child attends. If we fail in our duties as parents, it will reflect in our children publicly. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.